It's weird how decades later, from losing someone that I lost when I was 2 years old, I almost have an even greater picture of the person he was as I get older. And I am so grateful, while I didn't have much time with my dad, I have a human being who exemplifies everything I want to be in life, always in some way, guiding me. It's so amazing how, almost 2 decades since my dad passed, he is still part of every day. He's part of every conversation. He is part of my life. And I feel as though, I get a little part of him back in some way in every conversation I have about him. In any new story I hear, in a new photo that I haven't seen before, I'll often come across archive footage, because my whole life was on camera that I haven't seen before, and all of a sudden this memory just starts flooding back. It's an amazing thing, and then I really look at my other biggest guiding light, which is my mum, and she is just the most brave, steadfast, determined human being I've ever met. And to me, she is the epitome of a great leader, a great mother, and just a hero to me. Because she took this legacy that she created with Dad that just at the drop of a hat broke down. The rug pulled out from under you. Just your life kind of stops when you lose someone like that. And she was able to pick up all the broken pieces and move forward with such grace and still be there for my sister and I. So I look at my mum, I look at my dad, and I'm like, that's it. That's who I want to be. We have the perfect picture of exactly what these guys do out in the wild. We do this so we can better conserve them. I just came from a crocodile research expedition that we do every year in a place called Cape York. So right at the very top of Queensland, middle of nowhere, like I'm talking you're neck deep in mangrove mud. We've been doing this for about 20 years with some of the leading scientific institutions. It's something my dad first started. Everyone knows Dad as the crocodile hunter, that, wild bloke from Australia that jumped on crocs, but there was always a reason behind it. He started out rescuing crocodiles because there's a lot of conflict in Australia between people and crocs. If a croc gets too close to a person, if it gives someone a little bite, something happens, it ends up dead. No two ways about it, it gets a bullet every time. So Dad would usually come in and try and beat the clock, try and get in and rescue that croc and relocate it or bring it back to our sanctuary before it was killed. And so now I get to do that. I work in the very same place that my dad used to catch crocodiles, and I've actually, just a couple of weeks ago, I caught a beautiful big boy, about 15 feet long. His name's Captain America, because he's just an absolute staunch unit. And I'm looking, and I go, this crocodile's had a tracker before. I could see the mark of where he'd had a tracking device. We checked all of our records. He wasn't a crocodile that we'd caught recently, and we found he was a croc that my dad caught about 20 years ago. The defining moment, I think, for me, when people kind of had a bit of an optical shift in the view of Robert Irwin, was when I got my kit off, when I got the gear off and did that ad, and all of a sudden people kind of didn't know how to react. Like, I'd have people coming up to me like, that's good for you. I don't know what, mostly my family, but yeah, it's a new era, and I want to embrace that. Yeah, I'm all grown up, and I want to start, tackling bigger projects, and I want to start discussing, the big and important issues. I really, really want that. And yeah, I'm grateful to everyone who's been there from the little Bobby days, little tiny me. It's a really cool experience. It really is. And at the end of the day, all of this was surrounded by Australian wildlife. Like, that whole underwear campaign was about the animals. That's what I really wanted. And I'm really happy that most of the time when people come up and talk about it, they always go, was that actually a venomous spider on your shoulder? Did you actually have a snake around you? And I'm like, yep, that was all real. But yeah, did not expect that reaction. And it's weird, it's hard to navigate sometimes. It's a little strange, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little strange. But people are very kind, and I'm very grateful for that. And at the end of the day, that campaign is not about me. It's about the wildlife. It's about the animals. That's what it's about. We were talking about how, you know, how my mum and dad met, you know, this American tourist coming over to Australia, and how that's how my sister met her husband. And then I was saying, you know, when is that gonna happen for me? And that was very funny because that ended up creating, let's just say the visitation at the zoo was really good. And there was a lot of Americans, and it was great. It was really, so it worked, you know, it was great. And the funny thing is, again, it created a discussion around not me, but around what I stand for, like what I'm all about, and that story that my mum and dad started. And so I feel like my whole world of wildlife conservation is suddenly being listened to on an even larger scale. And I'm like, sweet, job done, I did it. But I'm still waiting for her. She has that American tourist is not quite lined up, but anyway. Okay guys, well this is it. Rehearsals, Dancing with the Stars for the week 1 dance. And look at who's here. Yeah, Bindi. Out of everything I've ever done, Dancing with the Stars scares me more than anything else. It makes me the most nervous. I have never done anything anywhere close to dancing. I mean, I guess avoiding a crocodile eating you, like that requires footwork, I guess. But I want to challenge myself. I'm at this time in my life where I'm kind of like, okay, I want to branch out and try as many new things as I can. I want to get the message that I have out to as many people as possible. I really want to inspire people. And more than anything else, I'm doing this because I was so inspired by my sister, Bindi. She did the show 10 years ago now and won. No pressure. Yeah. So I remember as a little kid, you know, I was 10 years old, 11 years old. I came to every live taping and I would just watch her, and I just thought, I didn't know my sister could do this. Like, this is insane. I mean, she just lit up the ballroom. Like, she was incredible. She said it was the closest she'd ever come to flying. That's what it felt like. And I just went, wow, I gotta do this. I don't know how this is gonna work out, but one day I have to do this. And so when Dancing with the Stars said, mate, there's a spot for you on this season if you want to come and dance, I was just straight in there. You know, there's no hesitation. And I was like, put me in, coach, like let's go. So yeah, this whole experience feels like such a privilege. I'm very, very lucky I get to kind of follow in my sister's footsteps and do this and hopefully, yeah, bring a bit of positivity, a bit of passion into the ballroom and just try and give it your all. You know, I don't have the skills, but I've got the passion. I know I'm gonna give this every ounce of my being, and we'll just hope for the best. We've made it. I'll see you on Dancing with the Stars. LA feels wilder than being in crocodile country. I touch down and then pretty much straight off the bat, you know, I get to meet my partner and then we're straight into training. And you have, you know, a couple of weeks, which sounds like a solid amount of time. For me, I think I probably could have spent 3 months and still, you know, it would have been a stretch. So it's definitely, you know, right into the deep end. It is not for the faint of heart. Dancing is one of these things where you're using muscles you just don't use in day-to-day life. Like, I don't care how many crocodiles you wrangle, you just cannot have enough core strength for dancing. It is another level. And that's something my sister said going into it. She said, however physically demanding you think it might be, like, quadruple it, you know? And that's been real. But it has been such a blessing to have my sister here, because she's here. And my little niece is here, my mum, a bunch of my mates are coming over. So it's like we have this whole community to give advice, and she's just been, not as much in the dancing advice, you know, she's like, you got the best partner ever, you've got this, it's all good, but just how to navigate the world of Dancing with the Stars. It's, you know, I don't wear sequins, I'm not in this world at all, and so it's super new, and it's awesome, it's terrifying, it's exciting, it's an adrenaline rush, it's the greatest thing ever, and I'm just so happy that I get to be immersed in something so different. It's amazing. I don't mind at all when someone wants to come up and say hi, because, you know, I compare it to some of my friends who are in, you know, the industry or other industries where they're in the public eye. I still look at like what my dad went through, and it's nothing compared to that. My dad had an alter ego called Glenn Glamour. That was the only way he could get around. If he left this hotel and walked down the street, he wouldn't have been able to get 2 feet. Like, so he had fake teeth, he had a wig, and he had a big coat that he'd wear, and it still didn't work. Like, but it was really, yeah, it was a different experience. And I'm very grateful that for me, when someone comes up to say hi, it's usually not, can I have a selfie, and then they're out of there. It's usually a conversation. They want to talk about how my dad affected them or inspired them, or they want to talk about our work or what we're all about, or, you know, it's a deeper connection. I feel that, you know, around the world, I'm very grateful that wherever I go, you know, people know me and my message. And something my dad always used to say is, I don't care if people remember me, I couldn't give a rip, is what he used to say. I don't care. But if people remember my message, then I've done my job. And I feel the exact same way. I stand for something that is so much bigger than myself. If I ever have a moment where it is a true chill day, which does not happen very often, my idea of just the absolute perfect night, get the family together, a few mates, build a nice big fire, couple of guitars, roast some marshmallows, and just talk, just chat and sing and have some fun and just forget what time it is and just enjoy. That is, to me, that's my happy place. Absolutely love that. That's something not many people know, but I would not consider myself a good guitar player or a great singer by any means, but I do really enjoy it. I love it. I love the guitar. I love just, you know, if it's the right crowd, that I can kind of just let loose with a little bit, bust out a few songs.
You're a good help. And maybe next croc you could help me with the knots and do some good croc knots with the ropes.
I can.
I've always felt like I'm part of something that's so much bigger than just myself, you know, a legacy that is huge and that has spanned generations that my dad and my mum started, and it's a real privilege to continue that. But photography became this kind of Robert's way to continue that legacy. Like, it was very individual for me. And I've always just loved being behind the camera. Like, as much as I end up in front of the camera, I love being behind the camera. And I think it's just being around cinematographers and being in that world for a really long time, you get a great appreciation for that craft. And so, you know, growing up, I was able to visit the most amazing locations in the world on like conservation projects and these amazing missions, and I would end up taking a camera with me, and it sort of just developed from there into a real passion to try and, you know, take what I get to experience and amplify that to the world, to say this is the beauty of the natural world, this is what we need to protect. You know, try and help people, I guess, connect with nature in some way. I feel like that's what my life's work is just trying to help people reconnect to what's important. I not only love what I do, I live for it. Yeah. I feel as though I am here for a reason. I really believe that I am here on this planet for a reason. And I wake up every day with a sense of urgency, with a fire in my belly, just thinking, I need to make the most of every single second. I think it's the Irwin genetics. I think they're like just coursing through me. But also, I want to show other young people, particularly, that you've got to live life to the fullest, and you've got to surround yourself with people who lift you up and really try and keep that. My dad always, I think, exemplified what it was to truly live. And I think losing someone as important as him at a young age also solidifies this idea of life is fragile. Like, it's short, it's the very nature of it is fleeting. You just don't know. You don't know what tomorrow holds. And so you have to take calculated risks. You have to have fun. You've got to enjoy what you're doing. You've got to give it 100%. You've got to be sensible about it too, which my family always remind me.